Faith is not blind, faith is not deaf. Faith sees and faith hears. But you can't expect faith to fix what you refuse to face. Toxic love, bad behavior, red flags, you praying over it doesn't make it holy. It just makes you a prisoner of your own hope. Now hold on. I know that might sting a little. Some of y'all just froze right there because you've been praying for that person, crying over that person, begging God to make them change. You're pouring faith into a situation that's draining the life out of you, and I get it. Oh, I get it. But here's the thing. Faith isn't about tolerating what breaks you. Faith is about stepping into what builds you. Now listen to me, because we need to talk. Not just talk, but really dig into this. Too many of us are stuck in toxic relationships, thinking faith is going to be the glue to hold it all together. You think if you just pray hard enough, stay patient long enough, and love deep enough, somehow that person will see the light. And I'm not saying prayer doesn't work. Prayer moves mountains, changes hearts, reshapes lives. But prayer is not a magic wand that turns wrong into right. God gave you discernment for a reason. He gave you intuition. He gave you peace so you could recognize what disturbs it. What we're going to do today is take a hard look at what faith is and what faith is not. We're going to talk about love, about loyalty, about betrayal, and about the consequences of ignoring those red flags. And by the end of this, you're going to know that walking away isn't giving up. It's stepping into what God truly has for you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever stayed in a relationship that you knew deep down wasn't good for you? Maybe it was a friendship, a romantic relationship, even a family bond. You saw the signs, the lies, the manipulation, the disrespect, but you told yourself, it's okay. They're just going through something. If I love them harder, if I pray harder, they'll change. And maybe they apologized. Maybe they even promised to do better. And for a little while, it seemed like things got better. But then it happened again and again and again. That's the cycle of a toxic relationship. It's a loop that keeps you running in circles while your soul gets more and more weary. And the worst part, when you're in it, you convince yourself that staying is the right thing to do. That leaving would mean you don't have enough faith, that you didn't trust God enough to fix it. But let me tell you something about God. He didn't call you to be someone's punching bag, physically, emotionally, spiritually. He didn't call you to shrink yourself just to make someone else feel big. That's not faith. That's fear dressed up as loyalty. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a field. In one hand, you're holding a seed. In the other, you're holding a watering can. You've been told that if you plant this seed and water it faithfully, it will grow into the most beautiful tree you've ever seen. So you dig a hole, you plant the seed, and you start watering. But days go by, weeks, months, and nothing grows. The ground is dry, the soil is barren, and no matter how much water you pour, it just soaks into the dirt and disappears. Now you have two choices. You can keep standing there, pouring water into bad soil, convincing yourself that if you just try harder, something will sprout. Or you can accept that this soil isn't capable of nourishing the seed and walk away to find better ground. That's the reality of a toxic relationship. Some soil just isn't meant to grow anything, and no amount of faith can change that. Faith doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior. Faith doesn't mean excusing someone's toxic actions just because you believe they might change. Faith doesn't mean ignoring your own needs, your own boundaries, your own peace. Faith is about trust, yes, but it's also about wisdom. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart, not chain it to someone who mistreats it. Let's be real. Some people aren't ready to be loved the way you love them. They're not ready to receive your kindness, your patience, your grace. And that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of where they are in their journey. But you can't let their brokenness break you. That's not what God intended. Let me tell you a story. A man once stayed in a burning house because he believed the fire wouldn't reach him. He thought if he just stayed in one corner, if he prayed hard enough, the flames would pass him by. But the fire didn't stop. It kept growing, kept spreading, until the smoke filled his lungs and the heat scorched his skin. That's what it feels like to stay in a toxic relationship. It burns you from the inside out. It suffocates your joy, your peace, your sense of self, and the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave. So here's the moment of truth. If you're in a toxic relationship right now, I want you to ask yourself one question. What is this costing me? Not just financially, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. What is it costing you to stay? Because let me tell you, the price of staying in a toxic relationship is always higher than the cost of walking away. You might lose that person, yes, but you'll gain yourself. You'll gain clarity, peace, freedom, and most importantly, you'll open the door for the kind of love God actually wants for you, the kind of love that heals, not hurts. Let me leave you with this. Faith is not a crutch for tolerating the intolerable. It's a compass that points you toward what's right, what's good, what's true. If you're praying for someone to change, that's beautiful. But don't let your prayers blind you to the reality of who they are right now. You are not called to fix anyone. You are called to love, yes, but also to protect your peace, to honor your worth, to guard your heart. So if you see the red flags, don't ignore them. If you feel your spirit unsettled, don't silence it. Listen to the voice of God within you. And if that voice is telling you it's time to walk away, have the courage to take that step. Because faith won't fix a toxic relationship, but faith will lead you to something better. And remember, walking away isn't giving up, it's making room for something greater,